Hey, come on kids, let's get out in the fresh air and go and walk in the hills. Yeah, breathe the fresh air. No, Dad, you're boring. I'm not. Even though I drive a proper Dad-spec green Skoda estate car, the Superb, which is a superb estate car. But things are not as they seem. Dad is not as boring as he might come across. Why? Well, you clicked on the thumbnail and you're intrigued because it doesn't look like it, but this particular car is faster than an Audi RS4. Yeah, this has got nearly 500 horsepower, this thing. It'll do 0 to 62 in under 4 seconds. And you kind of can't buy it, but we'll come on to that in a minute. All you need to know is this could be one of the coolest Dad-spec cars that's ever been created. I'm Jonny Smith, you're watching The Late Break Show, and this episode is powered by driverreviews.com, Europe's largest verified online tyre reviews platform. From that profile, what's different? Well, it is lower. It's actually 50mm lower, which I hadn't noticed when I got the car. I've been driving it now for about 24 hours just to get myself into the zone with it. 50mm lower on KW adjustable coilover suspension, and it's got a number of other suspension tweaks which I'll talk about as we drive. It's still on the original wheels, the 19s. I think this car came with 18s as standard with 19s optional, and it's wrapped in Yokohama Advan AO 52s, which are sticky, grippy, lovely tyres, and you're going to need them because this thing is not slow. It's way quicker than I was expecting it to be. I can't remember the last time I got a Skoda press vehicle delivered with a specific notice saying you must use 99 RON super unleaded. Without any doubt, you have to use 99 RON. Okay, and why is that? Well, it's kind of for this reason. And this is something which you don't normally expect to experience. The Superb Sleeper. For those who don't really understand sleepers, obviously the aim of the game is to make sure that nothing is given away. There's nothing impressive or performance-y in here. The outside doesn't look impressive or performance-y. No extra louvers in the bonnet, wings, anything like that. But these AP brakes are so sharp and decisive and great. They really are confidence inspiring. This car has been clearly put together as a package. It's not just chucking a load of power and a big map into it. It's a lot more than that. Brakes are insane. Now, Skoda says that the car is negligible in terms of any difference in curb weight to the original car because it's had bits swapped out, but really it's not been a weight saving exercise. You have some overtaking power. It's been so surprising because when you're driving it just looking out of the windscreen, there's obviously a sensation in the seat of your pants and stuff like that, and it doesn't really translate to the speedometer. Driving up here this morning, I thought I was doing a speed and I was actually doing 20 miles an hour quicker than the speed. It's so much of a sleeper. It's really bastard fast. Really bastard fast. But because you've got such good braking and turning capability, and it really does, it corners very, very well and very, very flat. I'm just so blown away by it. The definition of a sleeper car is a car that's quick and has an element of surprise to it. Standard bodywork, roof bars, middle-aged chrome additions. The Lauren and Clement means it's the top of the range Superb. You probably don't know this, but this is the last of the third generation Superb estates. They don't make it anymore. They stopped making it in July this year. I actually didn't know that. And they've brought out a fourth edition, which is supposed to be even better, but I haven't driven that yet. But this is the best-selling Superb shape. But what have they done differently? Where are the differences? Well, the first place you need to look for the hawk-eyed people among you is in there. There's a bit of red. It's got very big brakes. It stops very well because it needs to, because it's got a different turbo and a different intercooler and various little additions under there that all wrap up in this package to make it have 661 Newton meters at 3,690 RPM. And 477 PS, all from that amazing 2-litre AAA engine, which VW have been making now for some time. What a thing this is. But yet, I can park it anywhere. I could go for a walk up there for the next 10 hours and no one's going to nick it. No one would even consider nicking it. Well, there she is, without all the covers that you usually get. The EA888 engine is like one of the great 4-cylinder engines of all time, one of the most tunable engines. It's VW's answer to the Honda VTEC, the K20, it really is. Who's built this car? Well, this car's been built for Skoda by a company called RE Performance, a chap called Ricky, who used to work for VAG. And actually, if you remember when Skoda went and did a land speed record at Bonneville Salt Flats in 2011, they made an Octavia do 227 miles an hour with a lovely chap called Dickie Meaden behind the wheel. Well, Ricky built that car. RA Performance were involved with that, and this is their new venture. So this engine, the 1984cc AAA engine, this hasn't been opened. It hasn't been opened to create all this power. As standard in this model, top spec, 280 PS, I think, with the four-wheel drive system, which is very similar to the Golf R four-wheel drive, lots of other VW Audi products have got. So what have they done? Well, you can see because the covers are off, there's a bigger turbo back there. It's a Garrett PowerMax turbo. You've got a bigger intercooler. It's hard to see it, but it's inside there. And then you've got this lovely, quite subtle again, force-fed induction system, the D088 system here. The whole thing wraps together and creates the kind of power which I said in the intro is actually quicker than the current RS4 Audi. And if you were to have it built, be a damn sight cheaper. And it begs the question, in a world where you get lots of sporty cars with fake exhausts and fake inlets and grills and wings and stuff, what's cooler? Is it about not showing what you've got and putting it in a much more kind of sensible body like this, but having just as much, if not more, power? That's what the point of this review is about to me. But I'm still amazed at what power they can get out of this. So this is 477 PS, and RE Performance says you can safely probably get another 75 to 100 horsepower out of this car. So they're playing it conservative with this one. Although I've thought DSG gearboxes are a bit dull, there's a real flexibility to them, which is very, very impressive indeed. And you can drive them in such a docile way. And then if you want to go crackers, they're on it. And they're apparently really good for throwing lots of torque down their necks. They can cope with it, so it's front wheel drive most of the time. Bloody hell. There's just thrust. It's mad to think that the kind of numbers we can get out of 4-cylinder turbo engines now that aren't opened up and reworked internally. It's just mad. Don't be a tosser. Like and subscribe. Wow. I think I need to recommend that every constabulary in the UK, every police force, has a go in one of these and orders one, because it's phenomenal. All the time I'm driving this as fast as you would any extreme hot hatch or really any RS Audi, but bear in mind this is narrower than most RS Audis. That wide track is good for grip, but for little roads a lot of modern Audi RSs are too wide, I think, which means you can't actually use them where you want to use them, and you can't exploit them in the way that you would ordinarily do so. So it's sort of ironic. You got more grip and you got more power than ever before, but what are you going to do with it? You could just go in and tip it in, and it just doesn't feel right, but yet it does. It's just so, even on roads like this, which are full of switchbacks and uneven tarmac, it just... Ladies and gentlemen, we've got some thrust here. We really, really have. This suspension, tyre, brake combination must not be underestimated. It really mustn't. It's turned this car into a supercar killer. This is phenomenal. This is absolutely phenomenal. Wow. It's not a superb, it's a super bad. It is super bad. Well, before I show you what's going on in there, does it look any different? No, unless you get on your knees, like this. And when you do that, you go, well, those tailpipe apertures are just the same as any other top spec Superb, but look underneath and you can see there's a pair of power flow stainless exhaust, and then you look further down, you go, the whole exhaust is bigger. The fuel system's been uprated because you're having to put all of that power through the engine and obviously bring it out the back. And those discs at the front, those calipers, those AP Racing 6-piston calipers, 390mm double discs at the front, 330mm at the rear. This thing is serious, but it's seriously practical still. Because of that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, those people out there that buy SUVs still, please don't forget how good a good estate car is. Look at this space. I don't care if you think that an Audi Q5 has got more space in it. I'm telling you now, it f***ing doesn't. Most cars don't have space like this. This is perfect for dogs, of which, I don't know, 50% of British people have. This is absolutely massive. It's even bigger when you open up there and you realise there's extra stuff in there. And down there, there's actually a real spare wheel in there. You could fit a full-size spare in there if you took this piece of foam away. 660 litres, 1950 litres if you drop those back seats. Man, this is Dad-spec. Man, I love it. It's so good. Even the E-Class Mercedes estate can't cope, can't compete with this. 615 litres, 5 Series BM Touring, 570 litres. The Range Rover Sport, 647 litres. It isn't as good as this. It's also not as quick as this. And then you can just flick it back into D, of course. Goodness gracious me, this is a piece of work, Skoda. Please, please, if you're watching this thinking, this is a cool thing, it needs to go into production, even if it was a very, very limited number, even if they made like a dozen of them, please, Skoda, press the button on that. Make it happen. If you agree with me, write in the comments, yes, Skoda, make it. If you build them, they will come. Probably 18 grand's worth of special parts on this car. And, you know, and labour. An RE Performance say it'd take about 10 days to build one of these, now that they've built the first one and they know what they're doing. 10 days to create an Audi RS killer. Or a contender, Audi RS contender. But knowing that you can park this anywhere and no one's going to try and steal it. You're not going to have someone break into your house to try and take the keys. '62. Starting to rain. I have a habit on the Late Break Show of driving really powerful cars in the rain, as you'll know if you've watched the following videos. But in this instance, I'm not so bothered because this feels so sure-footed. It's brilliant. The steering's, it's not really sharp, but it's not bad at all. You've got that amazing duality. I could just cruise it to work and get 30 something to the gallon, or I could just unleash hell. Imagine seeing this slag going around the Nürburgring. I mean, seriously. Tell you what, these Yokohamas are really earning their keep. These 23540 19 Advan AO 52s. Grip is so crucial, regardless of whether you're driving a car that's high performance, whether it's an eco car like an EV, SUV, van. And buying tyres can be quite a confusing procedure. And that's where driverreviews.com can really help you make the decision based upon other people's feedback of certain tyre brands. Head to the website now.
Driver Reviews can help reduce the stress of finding new tyres for your car. Partnering with many of the largest tyre retailers in the world, Driver Reviews brings you thousands of verified and unbiased tyre reviews covering all of the leading brands. So when you're searching for new tyres, look out for the Driver Reviews logo to give you peace of mind that the reviews come from real customers just like you. To discover your local Driver Reviews partner website and to find out the winning tyres of this year's Customer Choice Awards, visit driverreviews.com.
I'm pretty sure this model launched in 2016, something like that. But did you know that the third generation Superb Estate has won over 50 awards, industry awards, in the UK alone? It's impressive. What it reminds me of in here is just before COVID and probably just before Dieselgate, when VW designed interiors with a little bit less infotainment, or this area is smaller and there's more buttons. It reminds me of a 2018 e-Golf that I ran as a long-termer on the Late Break Show, and I absolutely loved that car. It was just great. So what's special in here? Space. That's what the Superb is special for. Space. And because this particular one is the Lauren and Clement edition, it's got a 14 speaker audio system, which is really good, and it's got leather perforated, which is really good, and there's more space back there than almost any car on sale in the UK that's standard wheelbase. But remember, the DNA of this is probably one of the longest versions of the VW MQB platform, the chassis down there, shared with the Passat. And what's the Passat? One of VW's best cars of all time. The thing is, we've almost forgotten how good estate cars like this are, because it's cool to not like them anymore. Yeah, so you've got actual knobs on the steering wheel and buttons for air conditioning and cruise and heated seats and, you know, your driving modes and your stability control. And on the top of the knob here, because this is a 2-pedal DSG car, so 7-speed pedals, it says Skoda 4x4 because this has got a 4x4 system. Well, it's 2-wheel drive most of the time, and then it engages the rear-wheel drive when you start to lose grip. And apparently you can put an enormous amount of power through these systems, according to RE Performance. And they kind of know, because they build twin turbo R8s and stuff. Here, I'm sat behind myself. Look how much legroom I've got. I've got heated seats. I've got different zone air conditioning and stuff if I want it. I have got a ton of space and a lovely pano roof that I think opens. Damn, it's good. You might know a chap, the late Paul Newman, phenomenal actor, unbelievably handsome, frankly, and also was a really, really talented wheelman racer. Well, Paul Newman had a street sleeper Volvo built because he didn't want something that was flashy. He wanted an unassuming family estate car that he would avoid paparazzi and unwanted attention, but it had grunt to it. So he had a V8, an American V8 put in this Volvo. That car still exists. I think Wayne Carini, that moustached man from Chasing Classic Cars, has got it. Love that. If Paul Newman was still alive, I bet this would be a bit of Newman. He'd see the merits in this. He wouldn't drive an Audi RS4. It's too obvious. It's too flashy. Why would you bother? You mustn't overlook a car like this, irrespective of the fact that this is 500 horsepower. Take that out of it in standard form. They're just really good at so many things. Really good. Pretentiousness. That is something that a sleeper car is not. And I think that I see a lot of new cars these days that are deeply pretentious. People want to show off. I think it's maybe a societal thing with social media. It's one of the reasons why I don't particularly like SUVs, because it's all about the look and actually not enough about the substance. I'm not doing this video to tell you that the Superb is a fantastic, practical family estate car, because you know that, which is why it wins all the awards. But this is special. In a world where people are spending 90, 100 grand on Audi RS estates and M3 Tourings, this 18 grand's worth of Go Faster mods on this brilliant car makes me think, is that absolute madness or is that utter genius? And should Skoda make it? Should they make this as a strictly limited edition car? Will enough people buy it? I'd like you to vote. I'd like you to put in the comments, yes, Skoda, build it. I think this is so much better than I was expecting it to be, and I was expecting it to be good. It's a phenomenal package, phenomenal. And it's all about what you don't see. But then again, I'm biased because I love sleepers. And if you haven't ever seen my Austin Allegro Type R, then you won't understand. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this review episode of The Late Break Show, supported by driverreviews.com. If you haven't already subscribed, I'd love you to subscribe. You can also support us via Patreon. Oh, and please subscribe to the weekly podcast, Smith and Sniff. Cheers.